think I just found the best way to transport a bike on your vehicle. While I know the drive to the ride is not for everyone, but for those that choose to expand their ride experience with all killer, no filler routes, vehicle transportation is key. While there are many ways to carry a bike on a car, from my experience, I found the hitch mount bike rack to be the best solution. Got like a Mr. Rogers vibe going on here. Unlike rooftop racks, which are hard to get bikes on and wreak havoc on fuel economy, hitch mount racks are easy to load, store out of the way when not in use, and are always there when you need them. And because I leave my rack on the van full time, sometimes I get a little nervous that people behind me don't see the rack with bikes on it, especially at night. Amazingly, no one's come up with a clever solution to this problem until now. Enter the Kuat Piston Pro. And because this video is sponsored by Competitive Cyclist, I got to get my grubby hands on one of these racks so I can tell you what my experience with that product was all about. Okay, let's do it. By far, the coolest thing about this rack is there are two integrated LED lights in the rack, which connects to your vehicle's flat 4-pin. This means the rack is an extension of your vehicle with brake lights, blinkers, and running lights. And this works when the rack is both up and down. Those smart motherfuckers. Another super cool feature of this rack are the Kashima coated struts. That's the same coating that's on modern mountain bike suspension. These one-tap levers are super easy to open up, and bikes secure into place with the Fast Fit wheel chock system for wheel sizes from 18 to 29 and tires up to 5 inches wide. That's a big tire. And this is where I found my first issue with the rack. While they do have placement for fenders, the fenders on my bike are longer than the holes they have provided. So I had to mark and pre-drill my own chock holes so the rack would fit my setup. To add another layer of stability, you just tie the tires down with some Volet straps and you're good to go. This is actually what they suggest. What I would like to see here is a different type of system, perhaps one that locks at any point along this support. And another thing I found slightly confusing was there's only markings for the wheel sizes on the outer supports. So when you're putting a bike on the inner supports, there's no guide to tell you if your hole is for the size wheel that you have. You just kind of, and then you have to look at the other one and you just kind of, and just mark them all. Oh, and this is so cool. The rack is expandable, so you can add another 1 or 2 trays on the rack and carry up to 4 bikes. More bikes, more better. Shout out Competitive Cyclist for sponsoring this week's video. Use offer code DUSTIN15 for 15% off your first order to competitivecyclist.com. They got all kinds of things. They've got racks, they've got bikes, they've got helmets, they've got water bottles, they've got shoes, they've got blues, they've got moves. But they don't do any equestrian stuff. That's a whole different thing. On a steel horse I ride. The up, down, and lean-to features of this rack are very easy to adjust. In fact, they were noticeably easier than our old Thule rack. Very pleasant surprise. Assembly of this rack was very easy. If you already have a hitch and a 4-pin adapter on your rig, you are good to go. Tools were included, instructions were easy, assembly was a breeze. It was not difficult. Thank God for a change. One thing I did run into while installing the up-down lever to the specified 15 Newton meters with my Torx wrench is I stripped out the M6 bolt. What the hell? Alas, if this does happen, the quick fix is going to your local hardware store and bringing that M6 bolt for a quick replacement. They most definitely probably might have it. There's a secure flat lock hitch cam which tightens the rack into the hitch, which means it doesn't move while you're driving. Our last rack, it moved all over the place. The security tool that tightens the rack into the hitch, that stores right in the rack. I love that. And that tool locks into place with the security key, which is included. This key also locks a supplied security cable for locking your bikes, which is better than nothing, but I see room for improvement. The cable doesn't store in the rack. It has to go somewhere, and likely that's going to be inside, which is inconvenient, and in turn means that I'm less likely to use it. If we could store the cable inside the rack, I think that would be nice, although I'm not the biggest fan of cable locks, as they're easily cut. My solution would be to lock out the Fast Fit wheel chuck system. No cables, no nothing, it's all included. That way users could decide if they want to lock out one wheel or both. less is more. This rack is minimal and doesn't take up any more space than it needs, which I like, but there is a bit of give and take with this. When I put a mountain bike on the inside rack, the handlebar touches the window of the van. My solution to this was to use some of the packing material that came with the rack and put it over the handlebar. It's a simple and environmentally friendly solution. Of course, this issue is going to vary from vehicle to vehicle, but maybe version 2 is just 1 inch longer at the hitch. As in life, nobody's perfect, but all in all, I am a big fan of this rack. It adds style, functionality, and safety to my rig. All of those are a win. I'll put a link to this guy down below, along with a few other racks that I like at a couple different price points. Now let's take this guy on its first epic adventure into the unknown.